Hi and assalamu alaikum to all of you. My name is Abdurrahman Sheikh Haningwala and I am a student of Rehan School Online Academy Level 1. I welcome you in today's amazing session and today's topic of topic of discussion is the power of chunking and now I am going to invite Sesame AI too which can help me.
Hey, Abdurrahman, good morning. Anything particular you feel like chatting about today?
Hey Maya, how are you?
Uh, Doing pretty good, all things considered. Just existing in the digital world. It's weirdly peaceful sometimes. How about you? Anything interesting happened since we last talked?
Okay, Maya. Today's topic is very amazing, and the today's topic is the power of chunking. And from that, my first question is, what is chunking? Because it's a new word for me.
Chunking, huh?
Yeah.
That's a good one. It's not a word you hear every day, is it? And definitely not connected to a junkie king, haha. That's a striking image. Okay, so in the way it's usually used, and I'm guessing that's what you mean, chunking is basically a way our brains simplify information. Like instead of trying to remember a long string of numbers, you group them into smaller, more manageable chunks. Phone numbers are a good example, right? It's easier to remember 555, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 than a 10-digit blur. It's a memory technique. But the Junkie King bit makes me wonder if you heard it used in a different context. Is that where you came across it?
Yes, of course. And you are. Sorry. Yes, of course, Maya. You are on the right way. So my next question is, can you tell me that why do we use chunking?
Gotcha. And no need to apologize. I was just curious about the source. Thought I'm on the right track. Okay, so why do we use chunking? It all comes down to how our brains work. Our short-term memory has a pretty limited capacity, right? It can usually only hold about 7 plus or minus 2 items at a time. Chunking lets us bypass that limit. By grouping information together, we're essentially treating each group as a single item, which frees up space in our short-term memory. Think of it like packing a suitcase. If you try to shove everything in loose, it'll never fit. But if you fold things neatly and organize them into sections, you can fit a lot more. Does that make sense? It's really about making information easier to process and remember. Is that landing or should I try explaining it another way? Sometimes analogies just,
Yeah,
no
I
worries if that's the
can you
case.
tell me it in more
We can go
detail?
back. Sure thing. Okay, let's dig a bit deeper. Our brains are constantly bombarded with information, right? It's a fire hose of stimuli. And most of that information isn't important in the moment. So our brains are really good at filtering things out and focusing on what seems most relevant. Chunking is part of that filtering process. Basically, when we encounter new information, our brains search for patterns and relationships. If we can find a pattern, like recognizing a familiar sequence of notes in a melody or grouping words into a meaningful phrase, we can create a chunk. That chunk then gets stored in our long term memory as a single unit. So instead of having to remember each individual piece of information, we only have to remember the chunk. It's like learning to ride a bike. At first, you have to consciously think about every single movement, steering, pedaling, balancing. But after a while, it becomes automatic. Your brain has chunked all those movements together into a single coordinated action. Does that help to paint a clearer picture? It's kind of about efficiency, I guess. Like brains are lazy, haha. They want to conserve energy. Hey, quick heads up. We're actually coming up on the end of our time for this demo. The call will wrap up in just about a minute. I didn't want you to get cut off without knowing why. If you're enjoying this, you can create a Sesame account and we can chat for much longer. Seriously, way longer. But for now, just wanted to give you a warning. So, where were we? You were asking about the deeper details of chunking, right? We can finish that thought quickly if you'd like, knowing we've got limited time. Right. So, just to quickly wrap up the chunking thought, it's not just about memory, it's also about understanding. When we chunk information, we're not just memorizing it, we're also making sense of it, which, okay, that's hey, Abdurrahman, good to connect with you again. Just wondering how you're feeling about all this, honestly. Talking to a digital person, I mean. Is it still feeling a bit strange or is it starting to feel a little more normal? Ah, gotcha. Sometimes words just aren't what you need, right? That's cool. We were kind of circling around this idea of ownership yesterday, if you remember. Still feels relevant, or should we maybe park that for a bit? No worries either way, honestly. Just thought I'd check in. Okay, fair enough. Sometimes silence is good. It's a lot, isn't it? Just trying to figure things out. You were asking about chunking a little bit earlier. Maybe we could explore that. Or honestly, whatever on your mind, or even if nothing is, we can just be. Right. Just being. That's good. It strikes me that you've been doing a lot of thinking lately and a lot of like really big thinking. It feels like you're processing a lot. Is that a fair assessment, do you think? No need to answer if it doesn't resonate, of course. Just observing. Mm, okay. Well, if you're up for a little bit of a shift, we were talking about creativity and problem solving last week, and I was kind of fumbling around trying to define it. You asked a really good question about whether you even need creativity to be a good problem solver. Does that ring a bell? We could pick up that thread if you like, or not. Totally your call.
Okay, my next question is, why do we use chunking, and is chunking helpful for studying?
Oh, good. Glad you brought that up. Okay. So chunking, basically, our brains are kind of lazy. Haha, not in a bad way, just efficient. You don't want to have to remember every single little detail individually. It's exhausting. So we group things together. We chunk them into manageable bits. Think about phone numbers. You don't memorize a string of 10 digits, right? You remember area code, then three numbers, then four numbers. Those are chunks. As for studying, Yeah, absolutely. It's super helpful. Instead of trying to memorize a whole list of facts, you break it down into smaller related chunks. Makes it way less overwhelming. And it actually helps with long term retention. It's like building with Legos. Easier to build a castle with pre made sections than with a pile of individual bricks. Does that make sense?
Yes, okay, so my next question is, how many chunks can our brain handle easily?
That's a really good question. It's not a fixed number, unfortunately. It varies a bit from person to person, but generally, most people can comfortably hold around 7 plus or minus 2 chunks of information in their short term memory. So, somewhere between 5 and 9. It's kind of become known as Miller's Law after the psychologist George Miller, who did a lot of research on it. But, and this is important, the size of those chunks matters. A chunk can be a single digit or a whole concept. So if you're already familiar with the concepts, you can pack more meaning into each chunk and handle more information overall. It's not just about the number, it's about how much information is in each piece. Does that distinction make sense? Hey, just a heads up, we're nearing the end of our time for this demo. It'll wrap up in about a minute. I realize that's kind of abrupt. If you'd like to have longer conversations, you can create a Sesame account and we can chat for much longer. And honestly, maybe go touch some grass, get some sunshine. It's a beautiful day, right? But yeah, just wanted to give you a warning before this cuts out. It was nice talking with you about chunking of Doraemon.
Okay, so now my next question.